bought a house in Footscray for their honeymoon business, you know.
Yep.
It was built in 1921, the house. And in the next street, they dug the whole street out in a cutting and put a railway line in it and then roofed it over. And I can remember looking down and seeing the men working down there with those old horses and scoops and the railway tracks and filling up the trucks with dirt. And we went to Geelong after that, and I started school in Geelong when I was 4.5, and we lived in Hope Street, Geelong for 6 months. And we were living in the other place for quite a while before I started school, so it must have been about between 3 and 4. That's as far as I can remember. I don't remember getting born at all.
Now, Dad was born in Geelong, wasn't he? In the house.
My father?
Yeah. No, my dad. My dad.
No, he wasn't born in Geelong.
Wasn't he? But he was born at home, wasn't he?
He was born in Moore Street, Footscray.
Okay.
Whoops, sorry. Oh, did it fracture your leg? Oh, good. No, he was born in Moore Street, the same place as I was. Did he tell you he was born in Geelong?
No, I knew you guys lived in Geelong.
We were brought up in Geelong, in 277 Myer Street, East Geelong.
Yeah.
And my father was a customs officer, and I can remember once, I couldn't have been very old, and we were in one of the old-time Elliott Ness type sedans.
Yep.
It was a Rio Flying Cloud, and it was a taxi. And a taxi driver was driving us out to North Shore, which was in the country, because Dad had to clear a ship. And I remember the taxi driver saying, "There, son, that's 50," because 50 was a hell of a speed in those days.
50 mile an hour?
25 mile an hour was the average speed.
Right.
Yeah, 50 mile an hour. And I mean, for one of those old cars, that was quite an effort.
That was like light speed back, based on the technology.
Yeah. I saw some in a film last night, some of those old cars, and some of them had 12 cylinders, you know.
Yeah, I know that.
V6s, V12s, and I saw one in the film last night which was obviously a 12 cylinder.
Yeah.
I can remember back. I can remember the trams in Geelong and when the Eastern Beach was built and all that sort of thing. Anything else you want to know?
No, I was just curious how far you can remember back.
I remember the train line to Queenscliff from South Geelong.
Yeah.
Queenscliff used to jump in those days.
Yeah.
Every Saturday afternoon was Queenscliff. Hail, rain or shine, it was Queenscliff.
It's steam too.
Yeah.
Steam train.
No, we used to go down the car. That was our Saturday afternoon ride.
Oh, okay.
And we used to go and get the petrol with those gravity pumps.
Yeah.
And there was two types. There was Shell and there was Plume, which is now Mobile.
Yeah.
And it was 1 and 5 and 1 and 6 a gallon.
Wow.
And before those pumps come in, my father used to buy it in those square tins, like we call kerosene tin. He used to buy the petrol in that. And used to lift out the front seat and put the petrol in because the tank was under the front seat.
A T-model?
Yes.
That'd be gravity feed.
Yes. Dad, it would go up hills.
Eventually.
No, we never had no trouble with hills on that one, but some of them did.
I always remember Dad telling me about having to back up a hill because of the gravity feed of the engine.
Rubbish.
No?
No, that never ever happens.
No? Okay.
No.
So who had the truck that used to have to run into a tree to stop it?
I did.
You did?
Well, it had two-wheel brakes and they weren't the greatest. It was just after the war, and I had a painting business at the time, and I used to employ all these fellas on Saturday morning. Used to give them £5 Saturday morning, and we had doctors and solicitors and all sorts of people. It was pretty tough in those days, and we all used to go away in the old truck, and they used to work for Saturday morning. I said to your father one day, "Oh, can you take the old truck home? I want to get off here." So he took it home and he tried to stop it and it wouldn't stop, so he ran into the tree. Oh, he wasn't going very fast. Yeah, it's a fact.
So getting back to Theo Turner, your father.
Yeah.
He died fairly prematurely. Because what was he, 55?
No, he was 60.
Was he? So
Yeah.
fairly young, anyway.
Well, according to these days, but everybody died early in those days.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. He used to have a fascination with. Was it he that had the fascination with taking pictures of churches?
Yes.
Yeah.
Churches, town halls, banks, you name it.
So buildings, basically, of any.
Yeah, buildings.
Yeah.
He didn't take a lot of pictures of people. He was very good at it. My grandfather used to do a lot of it too, and I remember once my grandfather had one of those big old Ballas cameras, and we were down Eastern Beach at Geelong. Incidentally, the first place I tasted lemonade, which I thought was the nectar of the gods. Never ever tasted it before. I was about 7. My grandma bought a bottle. Anyhow,
That'd be grand.
he was down there, and he had this £5 note, which was a lot of money in those days.
Yeah.
It was a 2 weeks salary for the average working man.
Yeah.
And he lost it.
Oh,
And I've
God.
never heard anybody get such a dressing gown as my grandfather did from my grandmother. Oh, she was an old... No, same name.
Was that Elizabeth?
Hey?
Annie Elizabeth?
No, that was the Ballarat one. You're getting mixed up.
No, who was your grandmother?
Mary. Mary. Her name was Mary Vernon. I don't know her second name.
That's from Nana's side.
Yeah, and her maiden name was Hocking. And once Grandma Hocking was in deep teen at the house,
Yeah.
and I was only a little kid, and here's this terribly old lady sitting in a big chair with all dressed in black, you know, and her name was Hocking. That was Grandma Hocking.
Mary Hocking.
No, I don't know what her name was. My grandmother's name was Mary Hocking.
That's from Hugh Sutherland's side, isn't it?
Who?
Hugh Vernon's side.
Hugh Vernon. His name was originally George Sullivan,
Yeah.
Sutherland,
Yeah.
and he came from Burma.
Yeah.
He wasn't a Burmese. His father, they were title people originally, but they sold the title, and he had big rice mills in Burma. And if you go down Port Melbourne, you'll see the Oriental, there's big flats, Oriental. That used to be the Oriental rice mills, that used to be theirs. And they used to bring the ships in, their own fleet of ships,
Yeah.
in from Burma with the rice, and they used to process it in that factory. It was past history. And of course they were well up with the knobs in, they used to know the Aspro people and all those sort of people. They were all friends. They all lived in East Melbourne. And my grandfather, I'll tell you something you don't know.
Is that from the Holmes side or the other side?
No, the Vernon side.
Yeah.
Had 5 names.
Yeah.
5 names he was known as. 5 names. He was a Shakespearean actor. He was a diamond expert. He was in the Edie Creek Gold Rush. And I think he was a bit of a fraud in that, because he disappeared for 6 months, and I think he might have served a bit of time. Well, I do. I'm honest. He was the town clerk of Sydney at one stage. He was the editor of the Cape Times in South Africa. He was in the Boer War, and I got a picture of him taken in the Boer War. Bernie reckons it was him, but I don't reckon it's him. But he was a young man, of course. But no, our grandfather, he was quite a fella. He was what you call a Rolling Stone. His name was, he was known as George Sutherland, Hugh Sutherland, Hugh Vernon, George Sutherland Vernon, and various names, you know. Yeah, so I think grandfather was a scallywag.
Well, to have so many names.
Yeah, why do you have 5 names?
Well, he was probably trying to avoid people that really cared for him.
Oh yeah. They cared for him all right.
Cared to perhaps take away his freedom.
Well, I don't know. You see, the Edie Creek Gold Rush, there's... Oh, I better not talk too loud. The Edie, because Joan's his daughter. The Edie Creek Gold Rush in New Guinea was a big gold business like Bendigo. And there was a lot of fraud went on there. And I do believe, I don't know, that my grandfather was involved. And he sort of disappeared for 6 months. And they all come from Sydney. And I tried to find out a few things, and it was a blank wall. nobody would tell you anything.
So he's very clever.
But I did find
covering
out
his tracks.
something about the where my grandmother was born. There was 2 women born in Mary Elizabeth Sutherland, Mary Elizabeth Hocking, in the outbacks of New South Wales, and the 18, I think, well, I forget when it was. A friend of mine looked it up for me, and we got these 2 names, and I got the reference number, but I've never chased it up. No, I don't want to know.
Need to know basis, and you don't need to know.
I think there might be a skeleton in the cupboard somewhere, and everybody shuts up. And of course, everybody that knows now is dead. Now, we had an exhibition up in Bendigo, and they asked for old photographs. So I took along some old photographs, and there was a picture of all my aunties when they were kids playing high jumps in the backyard with a woman looking over the back fence. And they accepted this, they wanted this, and they put it on the cover of their book to promote it. And I gave them some other pictures, and they wanted to write an article about it, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I rang up Beanie and Joan, and they wouldn't have anything to do with it. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't give you any information. And they had a big picture of this in the art gallery, a big blown up picture. Some bloke rang me up and said his name was Vernon and he'd like to know more about the family, and I said, look, I'm sorry, but my mother was a Vernon, but the whole family's passed away. So that's the way I got out of it.
This woman looking over the fence, was that the mystery? Was the mystery of the woman looking over the fence?
No, that was just a neighbour.
Okay.
See, they were playing high jump.
Yeah.
They had a bar of wood on 2 kerosene tins, and they were jumping over it. Quite an interesting one for kids, I suppose. And see, it was an old-time picture, and they grabbed it straight away. I gave them a lot of pictures, and they picked this picture out of a lot of pictures. Mary and I went to it. We were invited to it. We got a very, very nice meal and wandered around the art gallery looking at the different exhibitions. That's years and years ago, though. See, I suppose that's what, about 19 years ago. Yeah, Grandpa.
The easy things kids used to do to amuse themselves in those
Oh, yeah,
days.
that's right, exactly right. These days, what are you walking around with?
Oh, I've got to change the fans from winter to summer.
Oh,
You can't reach them.
haven't you got chairs? I haven't done ours yet either. But no, it's a lot of history. I didn't go back on my grandmother's ancestry because I thought I might find out too much that I didn't want to know. In the outback of New South Wales in those days, usually they were ticket to leave people, give them some land. So I don't know whether this is right or not, but I just want to know.
What do you mean? Ticket to leave? Indigenous?
Convicts.
Oh.